The sky above Earth had turned red when the alien ships arrived. It wasn't a warning. It was just the color their engines burned through the atmosphere, silent, massive, and cold. Nobody knew who they were or what they wanted, but their arrival changed everything. On the third day of their arrival, they made contact, not with world leaders, not with armies, but with the humans who were already on the front lines of daily survival. Construction workers, street cleaners, taxi drivers. People like Sergeant James Holloway, a former soldier turned security guard at a mining station on Europa colony. James had seen many things in war, but nothing like her. She came from the second diplomatic envoy, tall, strong, and with glowing violet skin and silver-striped eyes. Her tail moved behind her like a living rope. She was not a soldier. She was a cultural observer named Yalara from the Vayari species. Beautiful and terrifying at the same time. James met her during a shared patrol around the base perimeter. She didn't speak much at first, just observed. But James noticed her more than he should have, her movements, her sharp senses, her scent like burning mint and metal. He didn't even realize how long he was staring until it happened. Without a word, Yalara turned, flipped her thick tail, and smacked him right across the face. It wasn't painful, more like a strong tap, but enough to make his heart jump. James stumbled back, shocked. What the hell was that for? Yalara turned her head slowly and raised one brow. You were staring, then you stopped. Why? James blinked. I didn't mean. You humans are so shy, she said, with a small grin. If you're going to watch, at least be honest about it. He didn't know how to respond. And before he could say anything, a loud explosion rocked the eastern wall of the base. The red warning lights flashed instantly. Sirens screamed, enemy drones. The base had been warned about a possible rogue faction of the Threxan, collective pirates who stole alien tech and sold it to the highest bidder. But no one expected them to strike here. Yalara dropped her teasing smirk and pulled out a curved blade from her hip. Back to work, human. No time to blush. James grabbed his rifle and nodded, heart racing. Stick close. They aim for command staff first. Yalara gave a playful nod, but her eyes turned sharp and cold. Let them try. As they moved through the smoke and chaos, James found himself more confused than afraid. This alien woman, who just slapped him for staring and then teased him for stopping, was now fighting by his side like she belonged there. Together they pushed through the lower corridor, clearing one drone after another. Her tail moved like a whip, smashing metal heads while James fired shot after shot. The base AI reported multiple breaches. Lives were being lost. The enemy wasn't here to take prisoners, but in the middle of that destruction, something strange formed. A bond. He didn't know if it was trust, survival instinct, or something deeper. Yalara didn't treat him like a weak species. She treated him like a partner. At one point, they were cornered. A flying Threxan drone aimed its plasma cannon right at them. James raised his gun, but it jammed. Before he could even curse, Yalara jumped in front of him and blocked the shot with her energy shield. The impact threw them both back. She landed hard on top of him, her face close, eyes fierce. You're lucky I like your dumb human face, she muttered. James chuckled, coughing through the smoke. You've got a weird way of flirting, she smiled faintly. You haven't seen anything yet. And then she stood, helping them up, as more enemies approached. James had thought he was just protecting an alien guest. But that night, in the middle of fire and chaos, he realized something. She wasn't the one who needed protection. She was going to change his life. Asterisk smoke filled the halls. Sparks burst from broken lights. The mining station on Europa was no longer just a base. It had become a battlefield. James pushed forward with his rifle in hand, and Yalara moved beside him like a shadow, silent but deadly. The two had already fought through 3 different drone squads. Each wave was stronger, smarter. Someone was coordinating the attack. James took cover behind a support beam and shouted over the gunfire. "I thought you were just here to observe." "I am," Yalara replied, slicing through a drone with her curved blade. "I'm observing your people under stress." "You're very loud." James grinned despite the danger. "And you're very violent for an observer." She looked at him with a flick of her tail. "You stared." That wasn't very peaceful either. Another drone exploded behind them. Yalara didn't even flinch. The team moved deeper into the base toward the engine room. If the Threxan drones reached the core, they could destroy the entire station. Lives depended on their next move. James sent out a call for backup, but no response came. Either the comms were jammed, or they were alone. He glanced at Yalara, who was calmly scanning the next corridor. "Hey," he said, lowering his voice. "Why did you come with me?" Yalara tilted her head. "You didn't run." "That's it," she nodded. "Many stare, most run." "You did neither." James blinked. "You hit me. You deserved it." He shook his head, then suddenly turned serious. "The drones are after command-level codes. If they reach central storage, it's over." "Then let's make sure they don't," she replied. Stepping ahead, James followed, impressed by how she moved. Not just graceful but controlled. Like a warrior who'd seen many battles, even if she claimed to be only observing. As they entered the engine corridor, the lights flickered violently. The air smelled like melted plastic and scorched metal. At the far end of the hallway, a glowing sphere floated. Threxan commander drone, twice the size of the others, armor-plated. Armed with auto turrets and 4 laser arms, James swore under his breath. "You ever fight one of those?" Yalara narrowed her eyes. "Not yet." It noticed them instantly and fired. James shoved her behind a crate and took cover himself. The crate exploded on impact, sending debris flying. James coughed. "We need a plan." Yalara peeked out and studied the drone. "You distract it. I disable its shield." "That sounds like a terrible plan." "Good. They'll never expect it." Before he could argue, she darted away fast as lightning. The drone followed her movement, its cannons shifting to target. James took the chance, stood up and opened fire. The bullets bounced off the energy shield, but it kept the drone busy. Yalara leaped onto a support pipe overhead, climbed above the drone, and then dropped right on top of it. Her tail wrapped around its core sensor, and her blade drove deep into its shield emitter. The drone screeched, a horrible mechanical howl, as the barrier blinked and vanished. "Now!" she shouted. James fired everything he had. Bullets tore into the drone's weak points. Sparks exploded. The core ignited, and the drone fell in pieces. The hall went quiet. James dropped to one knee, breathing hard. That was insane. Yalara landed softly beside him. Her tail flicked behind her, playful again. "Insane is how your species survives." He looked at her, tired but smiling. "Thanks for saving me." "Again," she raised a brow. "Don't thank me yet. I still don't like you. You like me a little." Her tail slapped his leg, not hard this time, almost gentle. "Maybe." Suddenly, the base lights returned. Emergency power was back. The internal AI announced, "Core stabilized. Enemy forces retreating." James leaned back against the wall. "We did it." Yalara folded her arms. "For now." But this wasn't random. They were hunting something. Or someone. James nodded. "Then let's find out who and why." And for the first time, he realized this mission wasn't over. It was just beginning. The next morning, the station was silent again. But it wasn't peace, it was the kind of silence that comes after a battle when everyone is too tired or too scared to speak. The bodies of drones were still being cleared. Engineers worked nonstop to repair the blown-out walls and damaged systems. James sat near the comms console, drinking cold coffee. He hadn't slept. Not with questions swirling in his head. The attack hadn't made sense. Europa Station wasn't a military base. It was a mining post. Nothing valuable here, at least that's what they believed. But now, he wasn't so sure. Yalara entered the room quietly. Her eyes scanned the damaged equipment, then rested on James. "You still alive?" she said. "Barely," James replied. "Coffee's terrible, but better than dying." She sat across from him. Her tail curled slightly as she pulled up a screen from her wrist device. "I scanned the enemy drones last night. They weren't just attacking, they were scanning." Scanning. What? She looked him in the eyes. Something buried under the ice. Deep beneath this station, James frowned. Mining teams never found anything. Because they weren't looking in the right place. She tapped the console, and a 3D image appeared. A dark, massive structure buried nearly 5 kilometers. Down, round, metallic. Older than anything human made. James leaned in. "What is that?" Yalara's voice lowered. "It's not Threxan. It's not Viari. It's ancient. Lost tech. Possibly a weapon." James stared at the screen. "You think that's what brought the drones?" She nodded. "They didn't come for your data or your command codes. They came to unlock that." James stood. "We need to warn Earth. Too late. Your transmission systems were fried during the attack," James paced. "Then we go down there ourselves. Find out what it is." Yalara raised an eyebrow. "Brave or stupid?" "Maybe both," he muttered. That evening, they suited up. Deep exploration gear. Oxygen for 40 hours. Ice drills, weapons. They took the South Tunnel, one of the rarely used mining shafts, and began their descent. As they moved deeper, the walls closed in, the temperature dropped. The ice seemed to whisper around them. James wasn't superstitious, but even he felt that something down here was awake. Yalara walked ahead, sensors scanning constantly. Still no movement, but the energy signature is growing. "How old do you think it is?" James asked. "Older than both our species." "Maybe older than your son," James whistled. "Great, so we're poking an ancient alien god in its sleep." She glanced back. "Let's hope it's friendly." 3 hours into the descent, they reached a massive cavern. Their flashlights lit up what looked like a metal dome, half buried in the ice. Smooth surface. Strange markings. Nothing human or even Viari. As they approached, James felt his breath hitch. The air changed. It was warmer now, but not from heat. From presence. Yalara placed a hand on the dome. Her eyes narrowed. "It's not a weapon," she said slowly. "It's alive." James's hand moved to his rifle. "Alive how?" "I don't know, but it's listening." Suddenly, a low hum vibrated through the cave. The ice groaned, and the dome began to open, splitting down the middle like an eye blinking awake after a long sleep. James took a step back. I don't think we should have come down here." Yalara didn't move. She stared into the opening and whispered, "It knows me." "What?" She turned to James. Her voice was calm, but something in her expression changed. "I think this is what brought me here." And then, from inside the ancient structure, a voice echoed, deep, layered, and not made. "For human ears, welcome, Keybearer. The cycle begins again." James raised his rifle, heart pounding. "Yalara, what the hell are you?" She looked at him, unreadable. "I don't know," she said softly. "But we're about to find out." The hum from the ancient dome didn't stop. It echoed through the cavern like a song stuck between metal and time. James stood frozen, gun shaking slightly in his grip. Yalara stood at the center of the ice chamber, staring into the pulsing light of the alien structure, as if hearing something no one else could. "Keybearer?" James repeated, his voice low. "What cycle is it talking about?" "I don't know." Yalara replied, but her voice was distant. Her eyes were glowing faintly silver, becoming white. James stepped forward. Hey, stay with me. She blinked. The glow faded. I'm fine. But this thing, it's not just technology, it's memory. A library, a prison. Maybe both. Sounds like something we should not be waking up. Yalara touched the surface again. This time, it didn't resist. The dome opened wider, revealing a staircase, spiraling down into glowing fog. Strange symbols floated in the air, some moved like smoke, others like stardust. James didn't understand any of it, but Yalara did. "They're in my head," she whispered, not as words, as instincts. "You mean ... someone programmed this into you?" "No, I was born with it. Or shaped by it, I think. I was created." To open this, James swallowed hard. "Are you saying you're some kind of alien key?" She looked at him sadly. "I don't want to be. I wanted to explore, learn, laugh. I didn't come here to start a war." They walked slowly down the stairs. The inside of the structure was impossibly vast, like stepping into a different dimension. Gravity shifted. Time felt slower. At the center was a floating crystal orb, glowing deep blue. Beneath it, a pedestal and a circular platform covered in alien runes. James felt pressure in his head the moment he looked at it. "What does it do?" he asked. "It activates something," she said. "I can feel it. A beacon, a call. To what? I don't know. But I'm scared to find out." James nodded. "Then don't touch it. Let's go back. We warn Earth, Viari command. The whole damn galaxy if we have to. We don't light this fire until we know what's on the other side." Yalara looked at him. "You trust me, even now?" He lowered his rifle. "You saved my life, fought beside me. You slapped me with your tail, then told me to keep staring. Yeah, I trust you. Even if I don't understand any of this." She smiled faintly. "You're weird. I get that a lot." They turned to leave, but the moment Yalara stepped off the platform, the orb pulsed. A blast of energy knocked them both back. James hit the wall hard. Sparks rained from the ceiling. Yalara groaned and sat up. "It's waking." From the walls, holograms appeared, images of galaxies collapsing, of ancient fleets in flames, of machines eating stars. A warning, a prophecy, or maybe history. Then, a voice spoke again. "Too late. The key has been found. The signal sent. The old ones remember." The hologram shifted to show a dark shape moving through the stars. Massive, silent, coming closer. Yalara's face went pale. "I didn't activate it, I swear." James gritted his teeth. "It doesn't matter. They know now. Whatever was asleep is coming." They ran up the stairs, but the walls began to close behind them. Ice cracked, alarms blared, and the temperature dropped sharply. Outside, the cavern shook. The mining shaft above began to collapse. James grabbed Yalara's hand and shouted, "Come on. We're not dying in an alien tomb." They leapt over falling rocks, sliding across the icy slope until they burst out of the lower tunnel, just as the entire cave collapsed behind them. Breathing hard, James stared at the rising smoke. "We have to leave Europa," he said. "Now." Yalara didn't argue, but far above them, in the silent blackness of space, something ancient had already begun to move, and it was heading straight for Earth. They didn't speak much on the way back to the station. The lower tunnels had collapsed, leaving only the maintenance shafts. James led, flashlight in one hand, sidearm in the other. Yalara followed silently, scanning behind them every few seconds. She didn't say what she feared might follow, but James could tell. She felt something. Something watching. By the time they reached the upper levels, the station was already on high alert. Lights flashed red, officers shouted. And above all of it, a new sound had joined the chaos, a low-frequency vibration, like the growl of a planet-sized engine. It wasn't coming from inside the station. It was coming from space. James Grabbed the comms tablet from the security post and patched into the base-wide channel. "This is Sergeant Holloway. Evac protocol now. Something's been awakened beneath the ice, and it just sent out a signal. We don't know what's answering, but we don't want to be here when it arrives." Some didn't believe him. Others were already packing. The smart ones didn't wait. Yalara stood at the window near the command deck. She stared up at Europa's frozen sky, where clouds of violet gas danced in the upper atmosphere. But now, there was something else. A dark shape was blocking the stars. At first, James thought it was a shadow. But then it moved. It wasn't a ship. It wasn't even metal. It was something far older. Organic. Alive. Like a creature built from the bones of long-dead galaxies. Yalara whispered. It heard the signal. Now it's following the scent. What is it? James asked. A collector. My people only have stories about them. Beings that drift between galaxies, absorbing technology, minds, memories. It doesn't destroy planets. It empties them. Slowly, patiently. James's jaw clenched. And we just gave it our location. Outside, the stars flickered. Not because they were blinking, but because something massive was moving between them. It had begun to descend. We need a ship. James said. Now, Yalara nodded. Follow me. I have one hidden in the cargo bay. Wait, you have a personal ship this whole time? She smirked. A girl has secrets. They moved quickly, dodging panicked crews and shaking walls. Some parts of the station were already losing gravity. Others had started to freeze. The collector wasn't attacking with weapons. It was draining the station's life, piece by piece. Inside the cargo bay, they found it. Yalara's ship was small, sleek, and Vayari-built. Not designed for war, but fast. James sealed the hatch while Yalara powered up the engine. The station lights flickered again. Over the comms, a final message echoed. Europa's station is no longer safe. All personnel, evacuate immediately. As they launched, James watched the ground shrink beneath them. Explosions sparked across the mining platforms. Then, in the distance, the remains of the alien dome shattered, consumed by a shadow that rippled across the ice like black fire. Yalara piloted through the debris with sharp, perfect movements. But James could tell she wasn't calm. You okay? I've seen death, she said softly. But this is different. This thing doesn't kill out of hate. It just takes. Like a tide that forgets you ever existed. James didn't answer. He stared out at the collector. It didn't chase them. It didn't have to. It knew where they were now. And maybe that was worse. Hours later, as they drifted in orbit beyond Europa, Yalara finally spoke again. That thing, it called me the key-bearer. But I'm not special. I'm not chosen. You opened the vault. James said, that means something. I didn't want this. James looked at her. None of us did. But now we're the only ones who know what's coming. She turned to him, her expression unreadable. Then what do? We fight, James said. We warn Earth, we gather allies. We don't let that thing take our world without resistance. Yalara nodded slowly. Then I guess you're not done staring at me, human. He gave a tired grin. Not until the universe ends, she smirked. It might, sooner than you think. Far behind them, the dark shadow crept toward the inner system. The hunt had begun. James and Yalara's ship cruised quietly beyond Jupiter's orbit. Earth was just a blue speck in the distance, but that wasn't what they were looking at. Both of them stared at the black shape behind them, stretching across space like a sleeping god. The collector wasn't fast. It didn't need to be. It simply moved. Slowly, calmly, but with one clear purpose. James broke the silence. It's not chasing us. No, Yalara said. It's tracing the signal we triggered. It's curious now. Like a shark smelling blood from miles away. James leaned back. Earth won't be ready for something like that. No one is, she replied. But we can't outrun it. So we have to stand. After 3 days of travel and failed communication attempts, they finally reached a human defense satellite near Mars. The AI on board was hesitant to let them dock, but once it scanned the Vayari ID and heard Yalara's warning, it allowed access. They uploaded the data, the images of the ancient vault, the voice that called her keybearer, the holograms of consumed galaxies, and most terrifying of all, the latest images of the collector slowly entering the solar system. The Satellite AI sent an emergency broadcast to Earth Command. Back aboard their ship, James sat near the window. He watched the stars. Do you think they'll believe us? Yalara sat beside him. They will when their moons go silent. 2. Late by then, she nodded slowly. It usually is. Suddenly, a ping came from the console. An incoming message from Earth Command. Yalara read it aloud. Message received. Return to Earth immediately. Full security escort authorized. Human Vayari Relations Command meeting in session. Do not engage the anomaly. Repeat, do not engage. James rolled his eyes. Yeah, that's gonna work. Yalara tilted her head. You're planning something. I'm planning not to sit around while some black star eater rolls up to my planet. She narrowed her eyes. You think you can stop it? No, he said. But I think we can stall it. Distract it. Lead it somewhere else while Earth builds a plan. Yalara studied him quietly. You're not afraid to die, James chuckled. I've been close enough to it already. If I can give Earth even one more day, I'll take that trade. She looked away for a moment. I don't want you to die. He turned to her, surprised. She didn't look at him. I like your weird human face. He smiled softly. Even when I stare too long? Her tail flicked gently against his leg, especially then. The next day, they landed on Earth directly on a floating platform just outside New Geneva. Military personnel surrounded the ship immediately. Human officers, Vayari envoys, armed guards and scientists. James stepped out, weaponless, hands raised. We're not here to start trouble. Yalara followed, confident and calm. We're here to stop it. Inside the command chamber, the leaders reviewed the data. Murmurs rose. Some argued. Others panicked. Only one voice stood clear. Admiral Kepler, old and scarred, a veteran of 3 wars. If what you're saying is true, he said slowly, we can't stop it, but maybe we can delay it. James stepped forward. Exactly. And I'll volunteer. Yalara shook her head. Not alone. I'm going too. Kepler looked at them both. You're suggesting a suicide mission? No, James said. We're suggesting bait. Silence filled the room. Kepler finally nodded. We'll prepare a stealth ship, something fast, with signal projectors and drone decoys. If you're right, you may be able to pull it toward the outer rim. And if we're wrong? Yalara asked. Kepler gave a grim smile. Then Earth will burn, but at least we'll have tried. That night, James stood by the ship, checking equipment. Yalara approached, placing a small silver object in his hand. What's this? He asked. A memory crystal, from my people. It records emotions, just in case. I wanted to remember what we felt. James looked at her, more serious than he'd ever been. I'm not letting you die out there, he said. She leaned close. Then you better fly fast, human. Above them, stars were going out one by one, and the collector was coming. The ship they were given was small, barely a 2-seater, but fast, built for stealth runs deep into enemy territory. Now it would serve as bait for something no weapon could destroy. James called it the Last Glare. Yalara didn't comment on the name, but he noticed she smiled quietly when she heard it. They launched under silence protocols. No fanfare. No public word. The world below was still asleep. unaware that something older than time itself was entering their solar system. James adjusted the signal beacon strapped to the ship's core. Once we get close, this should mimic the pulse from the Europa vault. If that thing wants the key, it'll follow. Yalara nodded. And if it doesn't? We'll still find out. As they approached the dark edge of Saturn's orbit, the stars vanished, one by one. Like someone was slowly closing the curtain of the sky. The collector had arrived. It didn't speak. It didn't fire. It simply was. A black mass, larger than moons, drifting through space like a thought with form. As it moved, James could feel the ship vibrate, not from engines, but from something inside his mind. It was as if the collector was reaching in, searching. Yalara gasped quietly. It knows us now. James activated the beacon. The ship lit up for just 1 second, sending out the same pulse that had come from the Europa vault. A memory, a scent. And the collector turned. James saw it, really saw it, for the first time. It didn't have a face or a body, but something inside it shimmered. 1,000 lost voices, broken cities, dreams that weren't dreams anymore, consumed, forgotten. It had eaten civilizations. And now it wanted more. The ship jerked violently as gravitational waves pulled at it. James held the controls tight. It's working. It's following. We can't outrun it forever, Yalara warned. We don't need to. James hit the booster, sending them into a slingshot curve around Saturn's rings. We just need to lead it to the beacon array we left near Titan's orbit. A backup plan set by Earth Command. If the collector locked onto the second signal near Titan's edge, maybe, just maybe, it would follow that trail instead of heading toward Earth. But as they flew, something changed. Yalara winced. It's pulling on me. What do you mean? It wants me. Not just the signal. Me. She looked at James, eyes wide. It knows I'm the key bearer. James's hands tightened on the controls. Then I'll drop the ship. You'll eject. I'll lead it away myself. No, she said sharply. You'll die. Better me than Earth. She paused. Then, slowly, she reached over and pressed her palm to the emergency override. James heard the hiss of pressurization. His seat launched. The stars spun. He screamed. Twisting in the escape pod, watching as the last glare kept flying alone now, with Yalara at the controls. Yalara! He shouted. Her voice came through the comms, calm and soft. You wouldn't stop staring at me. Even when the sky was falling. Now I'm staring back, James. Remember me. He slammed his fists against the glass. Don't do this. There's another way. But the comms cut. He watched as her ship flew toward the edge of space, the collector, drifting silently behind it. Then in the distance, the ship disappeared in a flash of white-blue light, and the collector paused. Its shape shimmered. And then it turned, slowly. Its direction shifted toward the beacon array on Titan's edge. The sacrifice had worked. The Earth was safe for now. Days later, James sat in a quiet room on Earth, holding the silver memory crystal Yalara had given him. He activated it. No words. Just feelings, curiosity, warmth, laughter, fear, and finally, peace. The news said the collector had left the system. But James knew better. It would return one day. And when it did, maybe someone else would stand in the way. Or maybe she'd return from the stars, tail flicking, smiling. And asking why he ever stopped staring.